He was never supposed to exist, especially not in my living room, holding the manuscript I thought I'd buried. And yet there he was, the villain I'd edited into oblivion, staring at me like I owed him the rest of his story. "I think you made me too cruel," he said with a smirk, tapping the title page with fingers too real to be fiction. "But maybe that's what made you fall for me." I should have screamed, called the cops, prayed. Instead, I offered him coffee. 2 weeks earlier, I was just an exhausted editor at Blue Rose Publishing, buried under deadlines, heartbreak, and the silent ache of being an invisible omega in a city that chewed up soft people and spit them out in silence. I was dumped by my beta boyfriend over email, no less with the classic "you're too sensitive" line. And the very same night, my final project landed on my desk. A dark, twisted romance fantasy. Cliché villain. Broken. Beautiful. Dangerous. His name? Lucien Vale. I didn't know then that words could open portals. I rewrote him, again and again, removed his softness, sharpened his cruelty. Every emotion I had for my ex, the betrayal, the hollow pain, the resentment, I bled into Lucien's character. He became colder with each chapter, more distant, until I didn't know if I was punishing my characters or punishing myself. But Lucien had a way of staring back from the pages, as if he saw me, as if he waited. And one rainy night, he stepped through the fiction I'd built to protect myself. "You didn't give me a choice," Lucien said later, standing in the doorway like a storm. "You kept rewriting my ending. But you forgot I was the author of my own fate." "This is impossible," I whispered, heart pounding. "You're not real." He chuckled, dark and smooth. "Neither was your ex. But you believed in him, didn't you?" We didn't speak for a while after that. He moved in, or rather, he stayed. Uninvited, unexplained. I stopped asking how or why. I should have been terrified. But he didn't hurt me. He made tea in the mornings. He folded my laundry. He even read drafts with a bored expression, muttering corrections under his breath like a critic with a grudge. But at night, when he thought I was asleep, he stood by my window and looked out at the city lonely, like he was still trapped in a world he didn't belong to. I started writing again. Not editing. Writing. A new story. One where the villain was allowed to love. Where he could be broken but still be wanted. Where he didn't need to be rewritten to be worthy of something good. And Lucien? He watched me write like he was starving. "I didn't ask to be created," he said one night. "But if I have to exist, I'd rather exist with you." Of course, it couldn't last. One morning, I woke up to find my manuscript gone. Lucien, gone. Only a note remained. "Stop trying to fix me. Write me the way I was meant to be." I searched everywhere, reopened old drafts, scoured my dreams. He wasn't in any of them. The villain I made had vanished from both worlds, real and fictional. The publishing house dropped my contract, said I was too unstable. Word got out that I was the editor who lost his mind over a manuscript. I packed my things, left the city, moved back to my hometown. I tried to forget him. But how do you forget the one person who understood the most broken parts of you because you wrote those parts into him? Then, a year later, I walked into a bookstore. The sign outside said, "Books that shouldn't exist." I picked up a single black-covered novel on the center display. No author, no publisher, just a title. "The editor who tried to save the villain." The first line? "He loved me before he even knew he had the right to." I dropped the book. My hands trembled. He remembered. I flipped through the pages. It was my story, his story, our story, but written from his point of view. The nights he watched me sleep, the way he hated my ex, the moment he realized he was falling in love with his own editor, the one who kept giving him new endings but never let him love without conditions. The final chapter ended with a door opening. And a line, "If you're reading this, come find me. I've written myself into your world now." Took me weeks to believe it wasn't a prank. But something in my chest, something instinctual, pulled me back to New York. I went to every bookstore, every cafe I wrote in, every park bench we sat on in silence. Nothing. until I returned to my old apartment building, now condemned and graffiti covered. The front door creaked open. Inside was nothing, dust, shadows, and then a voice. "You came back." I turned. Lucien stood there, not as a villain, not as a fictional shadow, but as a man, real, breathing, still in that same black coat, but with eyes softer than I remembered. I walked toward him slowly. "I thought you left for good," I said. "I had to become real on my own terms," he whispered. "Not as a villain, not as your revenge, but as your equal." I couldn't speak. My throat was thick with something heavy and bright. "I love you," he said simply. "Not because you wrote me to, but because you stopped trying to." We live quietly now, in a small town by the coast. I still write. He still corrects me. Sometimes he disappears for a few days, says he's haunting other editors, just to keep things interesting. But he always comes back. And when I wake in the middle of the night, to find him beside me, I realize something. He was never the villain. He was just a story waiting for someone to stop rewriting him and finally believe he was worth loving. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.